Okay, well, today we're going to be looking at a wine from a new range of wines promoted in support of a charity called Call for Wild. This is a South African-based charity which is responsible for the rescue, rehabilitation and ultimate release of endangered species, and in particular rhinos. And it's supported by a familiar name for many of us, Darren Gough, who was a cricketer with Yorkshire, a demon fast bowler for England, now retired and focusing on other aspects of life. And the particular wine that we're going to consider today is one of the top parts of their range, and it's based on a well-known South African grape, Chenin Blanc. Chenin Blanc is particularly important in South Africa, but the other area where it grows and prospers is in the Loire Valley in France. It's a very versatile grape, producing both dry wines and sweet wines when climatic and other conditions allow. But it's a dry one that we're going to try today, and this one is grown on vines that are bush vines. That's the old traditional way, really, in which grapes used to grow, because grape growth can be vigorous, and so it does often need to be controlled by different techniques. But the old bush vine process is not only traditional, but it's also behind some very successful wines. So let's have a look first of all at the colour of this particular wine. There we can see quite a bold yellow colour, quite dark and a bit darker than many other white wines that you will experience. But what I want you to pay particular attention to are the aromas, because this wine has been oak fermented. That means the fermentation has been taking place in oak barrels, and you can very often detect those influences, particularly on the nose. So let's have a look and see what we can pick up. Maybe because I'm looking for it, but I'm certainly picking up there touches of vanilla and butteriness, both of which are particularly indicators that oak has been involved in the production of this wine. But let's move on from the aromas, because this is what we're really waiting for, to see how it attacks the palate. Yes, nice example. One of the first impressions you get is that very clear richness. Again, very often oak treatment or lees treatment will be responsible for a certain richness in the flavour of the wine, but it's still quite soft. That's not that richness is not at the expense of subtlety and smoothness and softness. The fruit flavours that we're getting from it, red apple, characteristic of the Chenin Blanc, but also some ripe melon on this particular example. Acidity, nicely balanced, enough to give the wine a real sense of freshness and verve, but not piercing enough to be intrusive in the flavours that you're going to feel and get in the way, if you like, of the fruit components of the wine. In terms of depth and texture, some quite nice marzipan flavours there, a bit of nuttiness obviously to give you that marzipan approach. And there's also some suggestions of honey, which again, very often you'll see that in especially the sweeter varieties of Chenin Blanc. But this one, although it's quite dry, does still have some honey influences to give it complexity and to give it balance. So overall, we have a nice classy wine. A wine, as I say, made for the charity Care for Wild, and it's one of the top aspects of their range. It's sold by a wine merchant, a very good online wine merchant called Slurp, which is a wonderful name for a wine merchant to have. And bear in mind, this is a premium product, top of the range. It's a premium product, and the price will inevitably reflect that. But what you're getting for your money is a sophisticated Chenin Blanc from South Africa, done really well, and what you pay for it, of course, will be going to support a good cause.